So here's my oil catch can setup that I'm going to be making. This is the Moroso oil catch can breather. So I'm going to vent the entire crankcase system because that way I can release, the pressure from the heads, and all the oil will be inside of here and no longer will go inside the intake manifold. But I'm going to be going over the parts that you will need, and I will leave a link in the description to each part. So for this particular setup, I am going to be running -10AN hoses, steel braided lines, to make it look nice, to complement, the polished parts and whatnot. But you want to go with something over 6 feet, because from right here to the catch can, it'll be about maybe a foot, and then this side to the intake side will be about maybe 2.5 feet, if not 3. So this is at 8 feet. With the remaining parts that I have with this hose, I might be able to squeeze it with this one, make this steel braid as well. Later on down the road, I do plan to make this, and possibly all of these hoses into steel braid lines as well. So keep an update for that. The way I have this catch can set up is there's a bracket in the back, and I believe it's a 65 or 75 millimeter, and there's 2 spacers. There's a bigger one and then a smaller one, and then up front here I have a washer in the front, and that is the same for both sides. Washer, and then the spacers. Here's a part number and the information for the spacers. You will need 2, of course, 2 of each. These are the Hillman, and I got these from Lowe's. Inside this bracket, I did put tape inside of it. The reason being is because if I don't, when I slid up the bracket, it would kind of rub. It's metal on metal, so it's gonna leave like some scratches, as you can see. So if you're OCD like me, you can put tape all around the bracket, so if you're ever taking it on and off, it won't scratch the outside. You will have to do slight modification to this bracket. So as you can see, this bracket is at a 90-degree angle. It's completely flat. Originally it is like a U shape, so it wraps around this. So you will have to go to a mechanic shop possibly and use their compressor machine. So it presses it down and it flattens it out, so it gives you more space for it to kind of flatten out, so it can actually reach a little bit closer to the mounting point. And you will have to use a drill bit to bore out the hole from where the bolt goes. The reason being is because the bolt doesn't completely, it's kind of like a tight fit, so if you try to torque it in, it'll kind of strip it, because it's like it's kind of angled. So in boring the sides, boring the hole, you will have more play room. So you will have to bore, both sides. That way you have more room for the bolts to go through and to play around. So I hope that makes sense. I do have this coolant line deleted, and it is plugged up. If you do have a line, you could kind of run it through. It's just for emission purposes. You can just completely delete that, plug it up. And then I do have a spacer right there, because I did an idler pulley delete. So I'm pretty sure if you do have the idler pulley, it will probably hit, because it's like right there. Oh, and then it does have a petcock, I believe that's what it's called, where you drain it from the bottom. These are all the parts that you will need for the hoses. This is the -10AN male 2/5/8 hose adapter, which will adapt into this hose. I will have to cut this a little bit shorter into like a U shape, so it's not too long. So this will slide in there, and then you will need 3 of straight hose and -10AN. That will be, to screw it on here on the catch can, and 1 so you can screw it on to this, which again will be right up to the back. And then this will be a 90-degree angle, so it'll go right here, and you will have to delete this and go with a -10AN adapter. So now this will be the PCV valve delete, which will go inside of here, and then this will be adapted to the 90-degree angle. So that's all the parts. But all in all, this whole setup will cost you around $250, which to me that's a good price because Dynasty does offer a catch can similar to this where it vents both the crankcase and it's a breather can, but that one is 300 bucks and they use a -8 lined, so they're smaller lines, and these are a -10 AN, which will be bigger, so it'll be able to vent the pressure much quicker. Not only that, but I mean, you can't even lie, man, this catch can looks pretty sexy, like, you know, with the spacer, the polished Tome cap, you know, everything. It's gonna look nice, man. So I have taken off the hose for the PCV right there, and now we'll be taking off the PCV valve with this. I believe it should be a 25 or 24, but I don't have that at the moment, so I will be using this adjustable one. This does come with an O-ring for a seal, so you'll be good to go. I will be adding threading tape to all the threads as well, and this is what I will be using. So now I will be marking some tape to see the length where I need to cut, because this, you know, will go right here. So this is going to be the length. It looks pretty short, which it is. So now I was thinking you don't actually have to run the 90-degree angle. You can actually use another straight angle, so you can have more of like that, like longer look, if that makes sense. Because yeah, it looks pretty short. So now comes kind of the tricky part. So this line will be the one that I will cut for this side, and you want to make sure, if this is your first time doing AN fittings, I would highly suggest you watch some videos. I will leave some in the description below to some links, but you're going to wrap this with electric tape about 7 times. The reason why you do that is because once you cut it with this, you want to make sure that the metal does not fray. So I'm going to be using this air cutter with a 3-inch Diablo blade. So this is supposed to cut 60 times better than the standard. That's what they advertise. It is a little thick, but I think it'll still do the job, but the thinner it is, the better. So yeah, that actually turned out pretty well, man. You just gotta have a sturdy hand, focus, and cut it. It is slightly frayed right there, but that should still be good. Just wrap it really good and keep a sturdy hand. Boy, what the hell? I look like John Lennon. So you do want to wear eye protection. This is the only thing I could find when you're cutting this, because the shards of metal can easily just, you know, shoot out into your eye or your face. I would also recommend that you do use a face mask, just so it doesn't hit your nose or go into anywhere, because it hurts, guys, so be careful. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, I did get this new grill. It's looking pretty nice. More airflow, you know. I'm gonna put a Mishimoto oil cooler up front, so, you know, it sticks out, and then you'll be able to see also the braided lines, which they'll look pretty cool. All right, so now that I finished cutting this, you want to once or twice wrap it with electric tape pretty tight. As you can see, I did go a little bit, the tape is sticking out a little bit towards this side because it is slightly frayed. So now you want to take this off. For those who are new to AN fittings, this is basically like a cover, but it also screws on to this. So don't think this is like a plug and play. Now what I will have to do, I'm going to be using oil. I've put oil on the tape and on the inside. So now what you want to do with pressure, you want to make sure this goes over it, but be careful so the metal parts don't fray out as you're pushing this in. And you want to do it clockwise. You want to do it clockwise and push it down. So as you can see, there is the threading and there is the end of the hose. So we should be good. But yeah, you can also add oil inside, add oil on the outside. I literally just added oil on the outside so it would seep in and it helped me pretty good. So now that this is assembled, I'm going to be adding more oil inside, and now I'm going to be putting this inside of here. Same thing, oil on that to lubricate it. And with a wrench, I think it'll be either a 26 or 25. I'm gonna be torquing this down. Another quick helpful tip, I'm going to be bookmarking this tape right here, because if I torque this down, there's a chance this can start sliding up. So be aware of that. So this is what I did. I held it right here, and then I torqued this down with this, so it's not completely, the face is not completely sitting inside. That should be fine. I don't want to like strip it. So now we will be putting the PCV Delete Fitting, and you do want to add oil around the O-ring, just like an oil filter, to lubricate it, and you're gonna torque this all the way down until it touches the face. Holy shit, guys. So yeah, we finally got one side done. That looks looking pretty nice, man. So now all that is left is to, you know, put the straight ends onto this, and then add the adapter into the hose. I took off, you know, everything over here because I'm going to cut the hose right over here and make it like a U shape, and then that's where I'm going to be adapting this. I have successfully cut the hose. Not gonna lie, it was kind of tricky. Like, I did have to use the air cutter because this is pretty thick, so a knife probably won't cut it. If you have a saw, that should help it. As you can see, even then it was kind of janky. You had to, but yeah, I'm gonna be plugging this in there, and then I'm going to be adapting the braided hose obviously to here, so it's gonna be the same process as the other stuff. Finally, we are done. I'm just gonna hook everything back together and give you guys a final look. But here's the hose. Again, I cut it. Actually, I wish that I didn't cut it too short. I wish I cut it a little bit longer over here because the fitting actually goes way to the, you know, the back. So I should have left it some more room. But as I said earlier, you do want to put the threading tape on all of them. It's coming along. Keep you guys updated in a minute. Don't forget that you do need to get plugs, vacuum plugs. I went to O'Reilly's, and this is what I got. Dorman, plug this up. I did put a little bit of oil inside of it so it slips easier. It looks kind of like a nipple. And then I put oil on this one too, just so it slips all the way in. And I'm going to add some clamps. Alright guys, so this is the final show look of the catch can. Not much else to say, but I'm really glad that I assembled this by myself. It can be done, you know. I am probably gonna try to drain this every like 1,000 miles because, you know, it does have a big, large capacity. I believe it's maybe 8 ounces that it will hold from here, and then I'll be draining it and see how much oil it consumes. And another thing, I will be making a video explaining why this is the best setup that you can go for an oil catch can for your VQ. So stay tuned for that. So that is going to conclude today's video, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Any more questions, of course, let me know. And I'm out.